Do you like seeing gay people on television? Do you switch on and think, oh look, there's a gay person on the telly, what a proud moment for lesbians and gay men everywhere? Or do you see a different picture? If you've ever wondered why so much gay TV is embarrassing, banal, or just plain boring, you're not alone. Gays and lesbians are everywhere you turn on television these days. Soaps, sitcoms, dramas, you name it, there's a homo in it. But do we still need exclusively gay TV? And was it ever any good in the first place? Gay TV has come a long way in the last 20 years. In 1980, we had our first programme from the LGBT Minorities Unit, Gay Life. Shown only in London at an inaccessible hour, Gay Life was seen by many as a noble but doomed attempt to represent the varied lives and interests of a few million people.
For heterosexuals, marriage, a sexually exclusive relationship between two people, is the norm. For gays, relationships are in many ways much more difficult to work out.
I mean, we were, I have to say, we were right in, we were right at the beginning. This was the first gay series in the world, actually. And, we sailed like a sort of stately galleon straight into the midst of this complete tempest of, politics. Gay and versus straight, well, the politics of all of that. But, all the internecine war that was raging within sort of gay politics itself, we sailed straight into the middle of all of it. Because we were the only series there'd ever been, everybody wanted us to be their program. And, people from the very first program, people were saying, this isn't my program. I mean, you've got all these drag queens on. I'm not a drag queen. I want to be represented as a very straight businessman. You have a straight businessman sort of type, gay on, and all the drag queens are saying, that's not what being gay is all about. We want you to be radical, we want radical fairies on here, And so it was sort of impossible, really, to please everybody.
If by affirming one's deep love for somebody and promising to live with them for the rest of one's life is aping heterosexual life, then certainly we are. But that is what life is about.
The serious tone and subject matter of Gay Life gave the impression that this was a series made about us and not for us. There was a distinct feeling that we were being put under the microscope.
Up against the wall.
Can you sort of prop it up again?
It was very difficult to get access to locations. I mean, people didn't want to have their premises filmed and included in a gay program. So if you went to a pub and said, can we do an interview in this pub, which is a kind of normal thing that happens in television, a lot of landlords and a lot of businesses were very, very iffy about that. So we had a lot of trouble actually finding places where we could film. And there was also the problem of identity. I mean, a lot of people didn't want to be on a television program, which was, supposedly a gay program.
It was 10 years before the next gay series. Out on Tuesday was far more glossy, far more stylish than anything we'd seen before. It was also very brave, coming in the wake of Clause 28. Still, the loudest complaints came from lesbians and gay men themselves. Either Out was too frothy, or it was too earnest, depending on who you talked to. This long-awaited series shifted the emphasis from gay life to gay lifestyle. The glossy title sequence offered a clue to the juggling act that was required, with its alternate, here's one for the girls, and here's one for the boys.
Out was sincere, as far as I remember, very earnest, fairly squirm-making for the most part.
My pubic hair's short and curly, and I think there's probably rather a lot of it, really.
I can't say exactly when I first became aware that I got hair on my face.
Out?
Okay.
What was Out?
Out on Tuesday.
Oh, yes, I did some things for that. I'm loath to make some pronouncement about something I can barely remember. Was it any good? What's the consensus? Had its moments.
Yeah.
I know, I can't remember. You see, television's very disposable, isn't it? No one's going to remember this programme in about 15 minutes' time, are they?
Out on Tuesday, I think, did some very, very good things, but it had the basic problem of trying to please all of its potential audience. So you'd have some sort of quite intense film about a lesbian relationship with lots of beaches and stuff, and then you'd have something on, you know, aftershave, or these two things didn't sit well together. I mean, it was like the lesbian half hour and then the gay half hour.
Welcome to the first in a series of programs made by gay men and lesbians about issues of vital importance to homosexuals.
It suffered from the thing which, you know, gay television suffers from, in that it's, one, it's lesbian and gay television, whereas I don't think there's actually any real, beyond a sort of political agenda which makes for very dull viewing, I don't think there's very much shared culture.
I broadly welcome Out when it appeared on Channel 4, but it's also a demonstration of how we're never satisfied, because I thought it was probably slightly too earnest. And then years later we get Gaytime television, and I decided that was too frivolous.
Gay is good, we used to chant back in the days before gay tally. Well, if you ask me, gay is often a byword for bad. Like so much of gay culture, gay television takes its audience for granted and is always willing to appeal to the lowest common denominator. Gaytime TV's unashamedly slick and sexy title sequence might lead you to believe that gay TV had at last found its voice. However, the critics felt that what followed didn't live up to the title's promise.
Gaytime TV, I think, is a kind of horrible love child of sort of daytime TV and the worst idea of kind of gay programming.
I think Gaytime TV could have, very possibly, could have put a lot of people off homosexuality altogether.
Ladies and gentlemen, Liza Minnelli!
Woo! We're gay, here we are, woo! I mean, I just can't stand the whooping, I'm sorry, the shrieking and all that stuff. I mean, I don't see why people should be so happy to be on that programme, you know, never mind be gay.
The distinctive thing about us is we came from a different place, whereas the people who made Out came from that documentary group around Channel 4. We came from an entertainment television background.
You know, when people said, oh, well, it's puerile and it's sort of flippant and it's, you know, superficial and so on, I never worried about that argument, and nor did anybody at the BBC, because, in a way, that's what the programme was meant to be. It wasn't meant to be anything else.
I think you look wonderful. You look nothing like any of these pictures at all.
I know, isn't it funny?
You look great.
Yeah.
Are you happy?
Very.
Yeah,
Thank
you look happy.
So do you.
Thanks very much.
You're really talented.
Am I?
Yeah, you're really talented, Rona.
Thanks a lot.
You're funny and such a nice woman. It's true, she is.
Thank you very much.
You know, when it kind of minced onto the screens, people were surprised and astonished, and you know, got annoyed about it. But you know, I think that as the dust settles and we're into our third series, I think people realise much more what it's trying to do. That there's a place for what it's trying to do, and that, you know, let a thousand flowers bloom. That there should be programs like Gaytime TV and programs like you know, this documentary that you're making now.
I think the real problem with the programmes was that in some ways the production values were not as good as they might have been. It's quite a difficult programme to make because it's really an entertainment format, and it's a sort of nighttime parody of daytime television. And, you know, getting all those nuances right is a very, very difficult thing to do. And I think it takes time to get particularly entertainment programmes right. Very few of them are ever sort of perfect.
Well, yes, I've watched Gaytime TV on occasion. Obviously, can't be expected to sit through the whole half hour of it.
It is, it's lesbian wine,
It's lesbian
fermented and
wine.
bruised by lesbians.
The only problem I have with that programme is there are very funny people on it sometimes who are being funny. Rona, I think, always thinks very funny, but they only have 5.5 people in the studio audience. There's not enough people there to laugh, so the whole thing seems to... You feel slightly uncomfortable, and you may mistake your feelings for the subject matter, but it's not to do with that, I think. I always feel uncomfortable because she's not getting the laughs that she deserves.
As a gay man, I felt sad that gay culture was undergoing the same sort of trivialization that pop culture in general was undergoing in television. You know, gaytime television wasn't alone in doing sound bites and doing energy and putting style before content. And now I wish we'd just move on to something that takes account of the fact that we now, you know, have 3 out gay MPs. So I think we're ready for something in between that has energy, style, and wit that also isn't afraid of dealing with serious issues.
The main problem is that the audience for which gay television is conceived simply doesn't exist. Everyone talks about this thing called the lesbian and gay community, but is there really such a thing? Programs like Out and Gaytime TV set out to represent the community and all its interests, yet still people complain that they're not represented. So, is it the fault of the programs, or is it just that the audience is too diverse? Zoe in Emmerdale, Welsh Warren in This Life, St. Beth in Brookside, Dull Tony in EastEnders. Every time you turn on the television today, there's somebody else promoting homosexuality. Do we really need gay ghetto programming?
Hello, Mother. I'm going to be late. I've got to alter a dress. No, not for me, dear, for a colleague.
Mrs. Slocum's pussy wasn't the only cause for concern in Are You Being Served? For many gay men, John Inman's Mr. Humphreys was one of the direst homosexual stereotypes in television history.
No, I'm going. No, don't worry. No, I won't take the shortcut across the park. No. Anyway, they've caught that man.
In 1979, LWT gave us Nice Gay Neighbours, Rob and Michael in Agony, a sitcom written by Anna Rayburn and gay activist Len Richmond.
Len was actually a gay chauvinist pig. He deeply believed that if you were not gay, you were missing out on everything. And he was quite determined that he was going to have gay characters in there, and that was fine with me. And when we discussed them, our sole concern was that they should be believable. And at one stage, he said to me, they're going to be the nicest people in it. And I said, great. They were, in fact, the straightest people in it.
I keep thinking of Lawrence having a great time with a different girl each night and me sitting at home with 2 gay boys. Nothing personal.
No. Here, try one of my new health cigarettes, Jane. They're packed with vitamin B37. Very good for your sex drive.
Oh, that's all I need.
I've got the answer.
What was the question?
The question of cheering you up. Why don't you become gay and forget about men altogether?
Didn't work for you, did it?
I understand it in political terms, that it has been necessary to have, is necessary to have, a political presence for lesbians and gays. That I understand and I accept without question. When you translate that into drama or comedy or documentary, you can't make it the only thing we know about these people. It is much more interesting for me as a viewer to see a documentary about a woman who I think has struggled to find herself and be herself. The fact that she has found herself as a lesbian is not top of the bill. What's interesting is that she struggled and she found.
The couple in Nervous Energy are the latest in a long line of convincing, well-rounded gay characters written by Howard Schuman. It's a welcome change to see gay characters being intimate when so much gay TV tends to brush sex under the sofa.
Homosexuality, gay men and women, and it's endlessly diverse. And my feeling is we still are not covering the range geographically or in terms of work, in terms of jobs, in terms of mental attitudes that could be done. So there's a much richer source of material than has ever been touched. But it would also be churlish of me to say there's been no progress, because patently there's been progress. Now, it's interesting, This Life, which is the BBC, is it a soap opera, is it a drama serial about young lawyers? And I have a lot of resistance, because I'm the wrong age, to some of the characters, but I think it's a very interesting and good thing, that they have made one of the lawyers gay and they've given him a job, which he's now out of course, that they have shown him at work, but they've also shown him on the scene. And I think probably that's one of the biggest dramatic advances. You could actually have someone who presumably is a good lawyer also saying, I've got to have some cock tonight. And I have to say, I never thought I'd live to see the day I'd hear that line on terrestrial television.
It just made me realise life is hanging on a thread for all of us, you know, like this thin, fragile...
Unfortunately, I don't have time to hang around for an existential discussion. I'm off to get some cock.
Just like that?
Absolutely, just like that.
Do you actually have sex with these people?
Oh, I don't go in for sodomy with strangers. Personally, just fumble around a bit. Bizarre, isn't it?
The character of Warren seems to offer the perfect compromise. Nice, wholesome boy next door, up from Wales, upfront about his sexual desires. But are we happy with him? Not likely, boyo.
I think what happened when gay men started to be introduced in soap storylines was they were so determined for these gay men not to be like Kenneth Williams or something, that they ended up being like very few gay men I actually know. They were more like sort of, I don't know, wood choppers or something. You know, tremendously straight acting, tremendously non-seen, absolutely wholesome. And I suppose that might have been useful at the time, but I think we should grow out of that. I think it's time to have a few fabulous bitchy queens on television.
Obviously, people are anxious to see portrayals of perfectly ordinary men who happen to be gay, as we have in EastEnders and things like that, which I think is fine, but it's not quite liberating enough for the likes of me. I think gay people come in all shapes and sizes, and a lot of us aren't ordinary, and a lot of us don't aspire to be ordinary, and so they're not covered by that, you know, and they're made to feel more marginalised within the gay community, which I don't think is very nice.
The truth is that the biggest impact in drama comes in the long-running soap operas. And so when you have something like EastEnders, which was so enormously popular very fast after it began, having a major gay character in an East End square, I don't think you can underestimate the effect that that has on young gay people growing up.
I think that the soaps, just because they have a younger audience, have a big influence, and also not just for people who are coming out, but for people's acceptance of homosexuality. I mean, you hear lots of kids saying, oh, come on, it's not so bad, you know, I've seen it on the telly. And they might not know that they've met a gay person, but they've seen one on the telly. And so it just adds to a kind of, well, it's kind of educational.
The straightest acting gays around have to be Simon and Tony in Albert Square. You won't catch them in drag on a gay pride march.
I just don't want to have to dress up. You what? I don't want to have to wear stupid clothes, you know, like some of them do.
What, you mean you think you're going to have to wear a leather G-string and ostrich feathers or something, is that it?
Yeah, I'd rather die.
What on earth do you imagine I'm going to be wearing?
Well, I don't know, do I?
Look, Tony, outrageous clothing is not obligatory. Look, let's get this clear. I am not, repeat, not going on gay pride dressed as Carmen Miranda. Look, I'll have my usual clothes on, cleaned and pressed for the occasion, maybe. But that's all.
Well, thank God for that.
Who is it, Tony, and who's the ugly one? Simon. They never seem to touch each other very much. I know they've only been allowed to kiss each other once. Seems a bit sterile to me.
Don't take that as a yes.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, a gay character in itself is not a tabloid news story as it was 5 years ago, so I think there is a greater tolerance. I wouldn't say there's been so many, it's not that there's been so many gay characters, but there's been an incredibly camp feel in a lot of TV programming. I mean, whether you call it postmodern or camp or whatever, it's certainly influenced by what people would recognise as kind of gay style.
The most popular gay programmes aren't gay at all, but shows like Golden Girls and Absolutely Fabulous. Is this because of what we call gay sensibility? Or could it be that gay people are simply more comfortable watching programmes that don't claim to represent them?
I've never seen a picture of Jane Seymour with a centipede dangling from her bloody tiara. No, they just follow me. They bloody follow me. I mean, a mosquito's never bitten you, for God's sake. The last mosquito that bit me had to book into the Betty Ford clinic.
You know, I love the Golden Girls and I love Absolutely Fabulous. And I say at some level that I think it's gay, but I find it really hard to say why I think it's gay. I suppose there is a set of concerns underneath it, and there's nothing like comedy for articulating those concerns, you know, in a deeper way than documentary or factual programs can. You know, in the Golden Girls, that concern with aging; in Absolutely Fabulous, that feeling of desperately trying to keep the party going when you know it's not dignified to do so, which, you know, are concerns a lot of gay people have, myself included. And I think that at some level, gay people respond. I mean, the larger-than-life, you know, the caricature, the almost drag queen characteristics of the characters.
The man of Blanche's boudoir. It's a calendar. Each month has the picture of a man who's brought some special joy into my life.
Oh, Blanche, oh, honey, this is so thoughtful. Whoa!
September?
Yep.
I'm surprised you were able to walk in October.
I think gay audiences like anything with a strong character, and especially strong female characters. I think there's I haven't thought about it before, but there must be some kind of affinity with gay men and women where the common enemy is the heterosexual man. That must be something to do with it. And women are, in a way, a minority group, if you like, and so are gay men. So there's that parallel as well.
Poor old gay television is like the last remaining guest at a party, still frantically waving its pink balloons in the air, oblivious to the fact that everyone else has gone home to watch EastEnders. We are now a strong presence in mainstream television, so what's next for gay TV? Is there still a need for gay telly at all?
I think that you'll always need gay programming, just in the sense that whilst, you know, there's a sitcom about farmers and, you know, there are agricultural characters all over the television, no one would say that we therefore should do without farming today.
I think it would be interesting to approach things from the point of view of what binds different groups of people who are perhaps being marginalized or are fighting the same battles, who are linked by their battle and are connected not so much by their gender or their sexuality.
I think, you know, gay people need to work together to achieve certain shared common goals, but I don't think we need to work together generally, apart from anything else beyond, say, the age of consent or the fight against queer bashing or whatever. We don't actually have shared goals.
It's not a pointless, it was never a pointless exercise, but it may well have been an exercise that, you know, we don't need to keep on kidding ourselves that gay TV is something that, you know, we've got to really fight for.
There will always be a role for some gay programming on television, but I think it's probably true that, you know, gay programming doesn't have to serve the same purposes that it once did.
I'd rather watch Crime Monthly. That's my favourite programme. So where does that leave us? There's very little gay content in that, but, you know, sometimes you forget that you're a gay man, especially when you're watching television and you just think, oh, I'll watch the news like everyone else. Isn't that awful?
Next on Queer Street, a visual poem to Joe Orton.